Well, this is it. My final thoughts on the current beta for Manor Lords. Hello again there, friends and fans. Raptor here, and this is all about version 0.8.035, which is available now. I'll link to some videos to try to get you into the beta and answer some of your questions in more detail on what's new in the beta down below. But this is kind of more of a final thoughts video on all the things that I've seen and been able to play so far in this beta, and some things that you all had to share with me. So if you haven't already, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and of course, consider becoming members. We're going to take a look at what it's like to start a new game in Manor Lords. Nothing really new here in the new game startup section with your name, portrait, and how to set up your coat of arms. But what is new is 4 new maps, including Devil's Hill, Jagged Cliffs Divided, and Lake Lem. And I thought that was an astounding addition to get 4 new maps after all this time. Previously, we only got Winding River and also another map called High Peaks long ago. But now we're doubling that. I think we just got 2 in the previous update and now 4 in this beta. And a great thing that I love about this is we can now finally pick where we start. You can now play up to 3 different AIs kind of against them, and the idea is eventually to be able to fight them. So now AI cities are on the map. They will build, they will develop, and they look gorgeous. They're very, very well thought out, I think. They do a good job of mimicking the landscape, respecting the contours, and trying to take advantage of resources that happen to be in each of their different regions. So that's very cool. So again, if you want to see a more detailed overview of these 4 new maps, Devil's Hill, Jagged Cliff Divided, or Lake Lem, again, check down below in the description. We'll take a full tour of those. 2 new things here, A Duel and Fractured Realm. A Duel is basically a one-on-one against the AI, and Fractured Realm is kind of more like a free-for-all against the AI. If you want to, you can set things up through all these settings here, or some of the default settings like challenging. But one thing that I did find out from all of you is that if bandits happen to invade from off-map, or any army attacks the AI at their cities, they're likely to crash the game because they have a hard time defending themselves, and usually their villages will burn down and kind of glitch out the whole game in its entirety. Luckily, saves will prevent that, but there's not yet fully functioning battles with the AI, and it can't really protect itself when it's building its own city. But there's still a tremendous amount of promise here. I think it's a very bright future for Manor Lords. Despite all the bugs and disappointments, honestly, I think there's a very, very bright future for this game. So let's go ahead and jump into a previous save that I've been working on. We're going to take a castle tour now and show you some of the things that have changed, some of the things to expect, and kind of just more of what will be coming in this, let's just say, current version update when this beta becomes current version. Yeah. All right, let's jump in. Oh, don't be sheepish. We're back. All right. Speaking of sheep, by the way, I've got a lot of them over here. Huddle around, boys. It's time for the big meeting. Everybody's here. Look pretty. Everybody's watching you. All right, it is September of year 11 in my game, and I've been playing this for 10 days IRL. That's like 4 hour streams times 10 to get to this point. A gorgeous city. I like to play on slow to really include a lot of details in my playthrough, and this is the lower city of a city that's basically named Devilsburg or Devil's Town or Devil's Hill, whatever. That's the name of the map. And we're growing a ton of rye now, and we can finally have rye and sheep without having to go down those weird development points from before. If we click on the name of our city up here, you can actually see I've already unlocked what they call origins for the tier 1. When you kind of first get your first goal done of housing 5 people and getting some food ready for the winter, you can pick a background of, I think, 1 of 9 that include like the Swiss and the Austrians and other historical people and towns and places that had different skills, like mining stone, or manufacturing weapons out of iron, or living off the land, or whatever. It definitely sets up kind of a lore for your initial town, and the intention is every time you would upgrade to the next tier, like for example getting I don't know, 5 houses to tier 2 burgage plots, or 3 to tier 5, or whatever the case may be. Yeah, there's a whole different things that will define your city, and the definition of each of them will be kind of all around here. Now, I'm not sure exactly how it'll be broken down, and some of these were a little light and very restrictive because we're not able to go to tier 2 or tier 3. Currently, my city's somewhere around here at tier 2, which I'm holding it way back because we can't even take advantage of tier 3 stuff. But honestly, I like that a lot, and I want to see that explored more and refined, and I think that could be a much more interesting thing of kind of picking like you would in Civilization, like your background of your city, which give them special skills and things of that nature. And that would also be very cool for how your militia could react. It'd be awesome if they were former fighters settling down or something that are more, refined in their tactics of battle, and so thus a militia is way more effective. There's a lot of stuff to explore here, so I want to see that this is an okay step. I think it's really restrictive for the beta, but honestly, it's got a lot of potential to it, but should be kind of put on the back burner for now, honestly. But very cool to put it in players' faces and let us test it. Now, one of the most incredible things I've seen in this beta is this. The whole environment section really gives you all these different traits for how your city will run. This is kind of your attributes of what's going on in your city. Right now, I cut down a ton of trees in my city, and we went from like a 76 to a 77% to about a 67%, a 10% decrease of. Hold on a second. Sorry, I'm all distracted. Look at this. There's a freaking bear there, dude. There's a bear there. Anyway, yeah, so when you start in Manor Lords, right, there's some meadow, there's some forest, and when you start cutting down those trees to build your houses, you're going to end up with a lower and lower amount of woodland, and that lowers its percentage. But what's amazing here is that percentage calculates things like how quickly your pigs mature and produce pork, and how often wild animals replenish in the hunting grounds, and how often bark can be gathered in order to do tanning. So if you're getting started, that is an amazing first step to kind of keep a lot of that woods alive. And if you happen to regrow the woods through your forester, then that increases that percentage and again can produce a lot of food. Pork is incredible in this game for doing that, and it's kind of the same with the meadow too. It helps with pollination and allows for like a lot more yields of your burgage plots and your farms, from as far as I'm aware. 7% of our land is farmland right now, so there's no affinities for this. This may be called the environmental tab or affinities tab. I called it amenities earlier, but it also kind of helps with that too in a way, because of course your people are going to want clothes, and those provide extra bonuses, as well as, hell, if you're growing barley, that's an amenity there to be able to make ale in order to then provide that to them at the tavern. So, but then there should be rural affinities eventually, and then also urban, which you can see here, local handyman, current effect 0. But if our city's bigger, it helps with the maintenance, which is a new thing, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, as well as the record section and the art behind it. That is gorgeous. Manor Lords, for all of its new buildings and things like that, have some gorgeous art that kind of mimics what you see here in the army tab, like the hand-drawn art for all the different classes of spearmen or polearm or crossbow. Or here in the higher mercenaries tab, when you see the artwork, you can also see it here in these buildings. So there's no doubt about what a building is. Like here, it's the hunting camp. You can see a deer being dragged off there in the screen. Maybe a little bit more work there needed, but a gargantuan step forward, and looks absolutely gorgeous. So I love that tremendously. Let's go ahead and take a look at a castle, because I know you're all here for that. We're going to actually walk up there. I'm not going to show you it just yet. If you've seen it before, oh, wait until you see it now. Up here is another city, and we'll kind of hit Control Charlie in order to go into this view here. You can kind of pan across the cities, and this is where I started, right up here at the very beginning, building 3 small little villages, with the biggest one at the bottom taking care of a lot of the farming. That is probably my favorite village at the bottom, doing a lot of pig farming, sheep. Of course, there's now a butcher, and we'll talk about that in just a moment after the tour. But we've got ourselves a tier 2 church, and baby, look at that. We got ourselves a castle. Look at this absolute monstrosity. Wow. This thing has itself, it's a triple gated community, just in case the enemy gets past the first 2 gates. But check that out. We got ourselves a main wall around here, and then we've got a first and secondary wall to really slow down the enemy. Another wall here, and then finally our keep and garrison there, our manor and our garrison tower. Looks very gorgeous. Now, there's a couple of trees in some wrong spots. That's kind of how it is. Can't really cut down immature trees just yet, but hopefully in the future it'll allow us to do that. Let's go ahead and take a walk into the castle, because I know that's why we're all here. That's really one of the main draws of this new update, is being able to build that castle. And that group that I chose, my origin, really specialize in transporting things faster, 10% faster on their ox transportation. So very helpful for farming, very helpful for building. They're also much better at refining what is called rough stone into dressed stone. So basically small boulders that are then broken down into bricks and blocks that can be put into the walls here. And as you can see, the walls are very detailed, having like daubing on them or lime work. The mortar you can see too, which is another new resource that is gathered from rough stone, which is then mined from the surface, and then eventually you can build like a deep mine, which are also glitched, but we'll talk about that in just a moment. We'll talk about all the sad and mad in just a moment, but let's talk about proud and glad. I'm very proud to be able to have built this castle, although it gave me some trouble, and I'm very glad that everybody was so supportive, and Greg is so he has a lot of tenacity. Greg is now currently assembling a team. Most of it's already assembled and people are already working on it, and you know, this is their first update together, and so Greg has had to take a game of 7 years of passion plus the last year and take what is probably a bunch of spaghetti and tied up, you know, like headphone wires out of the drawer and try to untangle those and teach everybody how to basically code his game. He had to take his baby, rebuild it, then try to make it easier for everybody else to understand, train them, and then start a communication system, as well as hiring a bunch of people and how to get those people to do all the tasks they need to do. So usually we find people, you know, coming together before a game is worked on and making a company beforehand, but all of this is happening afterwards. And so it's very impressive to see where this game is now, despite all the issues of that, and I hope that it ends up being a much better experience because of it. Hold on, we need to take a screenshot here. That's breathtaking. Look at that. All right, I took one. So yeah, I really hope that the team has a much better update in the future and an easier time making all these betas. There's a ton of work to be done and a lot of things that can be done much more quickly, and I'm hoping for bigger leaps forward in more frequency, and so that way people are kind of a lot more excited about Manor Lords, and we don't have to wait every 6 months. Hopefully it's every other month, every 3 months that we get a big Manor Lords update. And I want this game to continue to be relevant, as it was one of the biggest and most wish-listed games on Steam when it dropped, and that's just amazing. But it looks amazing too, and I gotta say, after all of my love of Kingdom Come Deliverance, and then immediately after beating that game, going and playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and meeting Sir Toby and a lot of the people over at Warhorse Studios for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I want Manor Lords to be able to be a city builder that very much mimics all the cool stuff about Kuttenberg, and I'm setting this game on a massive pedestal that I'm well aware that it'll never reach, but I just want it to try to reach for it. It doesn't have to actually cross that mark, but if it tries to just reach for it, I'll be impressed. All right, let's go ahead and start taking a little look around the city then at some of the amazing things that we can do now. So first of all, I gotta say, I love the burgage plots. There is now a change to burgage plots where you can more effectively kind of control what's grown there, and you can have cabbage, carrots, and also beetroots grow at these burgage plots, which size does matter, gentlemen and ladies. When it comes to building your burgage plots, when you're having an orchard or when you're having a farm, that matters. But when it comes to animals, that doesn't matter just yet. So what's very cool is this has been refined into how it works. You'll need a lot more focus on money, and so money at the very start is a much more incredibly important thing. For me, luckily I had hunting, so I could sell what is pelts to the local trader, and that allowed me to get some money to then be able to start getting some vegetables. So in addition to that, there are the orchards, and now again, because we don't have that development system anymore, we can now do a lot more farming and working of orchards and bees without a lot of restriction. And so for the orchards, they can grow 3 new crops. Let's just say they're all 3 new crops: apples, quinces, and pears. Before, I don't think we had quinces and pears. Apples return, but it is amazing to be able to grow those and again feed your population. Now if you could take a little peek up here, you can see that we have mushrooms. The mushrooms are back. You can gather those with the forager, and so berries and mushrooms can be gathered there, as well as herbs, which then go towards medicine. So having a forager working is more important than ever. Sausages return and only require pork and salt to be able to work, and then small game is here, replacing deer. When you go hunting now, hunting provides pelts that can't be made into hides or leather and are just directly sold for cash. But you can see we have mutton coming in from all of our sheep, shavon, which is from goat meat, and they also provide hide, and then good old pork and chicken. But beef is listed there, but we cannot have cows at the moment. Fish are here. Carp and eel are now added. Carp is in there from before, but eel is an additional fish, as well as smoked fish, and I'm not sure exactly how that works just yet. I think you do that at the fishing hut or maybe the butcher. Anybody want to comment on that down below? That's actually a good point of interest for me, is hey, how does that work? But we now have multiple different types of bread: rye and wheat, and then we also have, and I don't know how to say that, lebkuchen, but basically it is something made from honey, from what I understand from our chatters, and that's yet another piece of baked good and bread. And then we also have, as you see there, milk coming. That'll be with the cows, and then eggs from the chicken coop. So tier 1 burgage plots, incredibly important. A lot of that stuff gathered from tier 1 burgage plots. Tier 2, very important for the butcher, which This is some late game stuff here for me, but here's an AI town right over here. I just wanted to take a peek at and see what they're doing. They're making a town almost kind of similar to ours. It's kind of hard to tell the two apart, really. Ours is a little smaller because it's broken into two smaller sections up here. But yeah, I think mine looks a little bit more beautiful. But I don't see the AI yet building large farm fields, and I don't see them yet building any sort of like, oh, that looked like a pond for a second, but I don't see them doing sheep like we are. So right now I've got about 80 sheep. I had 100, and the butcher is absolutely bulldozing through this. Now again, this is a beta, so these things need to be fixed before the 1.0, but there doesn't seem to be for the butcher a way to actually limit how much they will slaughter for your sheep. There is seemingly a limit for how much salt and pork and how many sausages they'll make and reserve in order to make those things, but not for the mutton. So you'll have to turn this building on and off manually, otherwise you might limit your sheep population, which is important because you want your sheep over here doing fertilization. And of course now we can build pastures on each and every individual field for 5 planks currently, and then the sheep can come right over and graze here. The shepherds will lure them over here, lead them over here, and then they'll do what they do best, which is basically crapping on the ground to fertilize, and then that of course helps for crop rotation when there's fallow. So there's a lot of activity here. I got 3 farms working. We've got flax, we've got rye, and we got a lot of sheep over here doing their thing. Look at that. Very cool though to see them doing it. So each of the fields have their own limit as well, up to 57, but it does look like the limit of the sheep fields is 100. So no matter how big you build that pasture, you can only get them up to 100. I tried to make a couple of different sizes here, but that does seem to be the limit. So my idea here is to get even more sheep because they're basically free food and basically free materials for like your weaver to then make a lot of yarn or linen. And you can see here that we have a weaver right over here somewhere. There it is, the tailor. And the tailor here, the tier 2 burgage plot, they can actually make different types of clothes now. The warm clothes, woolen clothes, or linen. And I want to make both because selling is very important. You can also do gambesons too, but that takes 2 linen. And we had a horrible year previously with drought, so I'm not able to accommodate that yet. But that's why you want to diversify. Do the sheep and then do the linen and mix it up. So it does look like we'll need to have multiple tailors going and multiple butchers to be making the same things at the same time. Otherwise, we'll have to micromanage that. Now, speaking of clothing, one thing that a lot of people have mentioned, and again, I hope this is fixed in 1.0, or let's just say the update, when this is released to the public as the current version, Greg has said that he's identified an issue with the clothing and that he's had it fixed on his side for a while, and he may release a beta for everybody, an update to the beta for everybody, or, of course, the update will come to the update. In addition to that, let's talk problems since we're here. I don't have any more mines anymore. I've mined all my stone, and I've mined my clay and my salt that I had, but apparently deep stone deposits are bugged and you're not able to continuously mine that stuff. But again, Greg has said that that's fixed. It was a very slow process. They would slow down tremendously. So that's 2 things, or rather 3. The lack of limits to the butcher, the inability to mine materials quickly after making a deep mine, and then also the inability to what was the last one there? The other thing I'd mentioned, but it slips my mind now, but that I'll come back to it in a second. In addition to the other problems there, it's the clothing, the consumption of clothing. It's something I wanted to come back to as a bookmarker. Tier 2 and especially Tier 3 burgage plots are consuming way too many clothes. So there's no way you can produce enough clothes for them to be able to keep a lot of people happy to get those goals up. And in addition to that, if you're trying to play the combat mode, again, I mentioned that if bandits or anybody attacks these towns, they'll burn down and die. But I gotta say, probably the biggest problem so far has been building a castle. This castle up here has probably crashed on me about 5 or 6 times building it, and it becomes such a... I want to build a castle that looks like this, but the castle planner mode has some big problems with it where it just doesn't seem to work right. It's, again, still a work in progress. In fact, I think it even says it somewhere here, wherever you click before, it'll say work in progress. Actually, I think on this screen, right before you click the castle planner, I guess not. But anyway, yeah, so my garrison tower has been built, but it's not recognizing an expanded retinue, so I've only got 12 when I should get 24 for both these buildings here. Each of them should give you 12. And but what's very amazing here, and you can see this in a previous video, but I just want to touch on it really quickly. I love the fact that we can build like tier 1 walls, and then also we can upgrade them to tier 2 to see what they look like. You can do all this stuff, but there's no blueprinting. In other words, you can lay out your entire castle, but unless you have all the materials already existing in your city, you're not able to build the castle. And if you add anything extra to the castle, let's say we just wanted an extra tower here, even if it were a tier 1 tower for the castle or a tier 2, it then requires us to deliver all the materials all over again. Sometimes that changes, sometimes it doesn't, but anytime that you're modifying the castle, it has these crazy calculations of trying to either rebuild the whole castle or sections of it, and it's not accurate. So it doesn't allow you to build a castle or edit a castle after you built it. So this had to be one fell swoop of just doing it as quickly as possible before the game crashed, and I was able to do it. So, but there's still issues with it. The retinue, for example, I moved my manor from here to here, and if I deploy the retinue, which I think they're deployed right now down there, yeah, they were dealing with some pesky bandits, but if you deploy the retinue from the castle, they sometimes get stuck. There's a lot of pathing issues with people, and so deploying the retinue from the castle, they'll either get stuck coming out of the door of the tier 1 manor, or they'll get stuck like on the multiple gates of the castle. And that's just horrible. I hate that. But again, Greg can work on that, and that's feedback that we can give. Additionally, one thing that I've got to touch on this too, I really am just flabbergasted still at the game's logistical problems. I'm not even sure how a lot of this stuff works. Like, I've got all this food, and I've had way more than this in the past. I've got enough food to feed everybody for a month currently. It's harvest season, so those numbers will go up. They're going to harvest a lot of stuff, but again, it was a drought, so some of those things are hurting a little bit. But don't worry, everybody will survive. Trust me, it'll be okay. Okay? Trust me, I'm a lord. Okay? But anyway, here's the deal. I still don't know how the hell this game functions with delivering stuff to where it needs to go. I got 6 families here working on delivering beetroots and pears to market, and I just have no idea. Like, I've got 2,500 storage, but I don't need that much. I just upgraded it so I could get 6 people, and I still have no idea how they're working. Now, the issue I have here with the granaries and with storage and manor lords is this. You have to turn on or off market stalls. It can either be on for everybody or off, but I don't want that. I want something in between. Like, I want 1 or 2 people selling, and I want everybody else going to all these different locations and picking up. Now, there are ways to work around this. You can, of course, limit the crops that you gather or food that is stored here, and you can see I've done that. And also, there's a limited work area or an unlimited work area, and I'm just doing unlimited because, again, I don't know how it works or if it works, and I just, when it works for me or when it seems like it's working, I leave it alone because I don't know if there's follow-through for this. Because here, I have a forager hut that has 20 berries being gathered, and it's at the end of the year, so there's no more berries coming in. But I had to build 2 large granaries here to be able to get these folks to continuously go over to this forager to clear out enough berries and herbs so that way the forager could work. Either I had to build multiple foragers to be able to have enough space to gather all the berries, or I had to build multiple granaries because there was just too many berries coming in or not enough people to pick them. So it didn't matter how large the granary was, they just weren't going to the forager hut to pick it up so it could continue to work. And berries are something that I want, which, again, side note, dye seems to be gone from the game. You can't gather berries at the moment to make dye, to make clothing. That's out of the production chain at the moment. But thankfully, the charcoal is here without having to get that development point, and that's a great way to start your city too. I got to make mention of that. I think you should immediately make firewood, then turn it into charcoal, then start selling and get those burgage plots going, and take advantage of anything that you can for pelts and berries. I was lucky to get that there. And mushrooms probably would have the same problem too. It's not just the berries. I think mushrooms, if we make enough of them, maybe a larger deposit makes less than 142. But yeah, I gotta say, I still don't know how the hell the economy works in Manor Lords, and I try to do everything I can to experiment with it and goof around with it, but it's so wild to see, like, you know, when I was first starting, I had a crazy amount of food. Some of the first harvests were bursting at the seams with carrots and stuff, and it would tell me, like, hey man, you got like 6 months of food. Hey man, all these burgage plots and stuff, you know, they can't, you know, there's just not enough people. So I increased that, and then I try to find out where the people who are working at the granary are, and then now, you know, food is disappearing from the burgage plots. Food is no longer in the pantry here at the granary. There's no longer full homes anymore, and like the marketplaces are empty. So it's like, well, where did all that food go? If it's not at the burgage plot, if it's not at the granary, if it's not at the market, and if it's not in people's pantry, where the hell is it? Like, you know, generic storage is when they harvest something like eggs or chicken meat or whatever, and then it has to be picked up by the granary to be distributed to the markets. And when people go to the markets, then it's in their pantry, or, you know, if it's firewood, then it goes back to generic storage. I have no idea. I have no idea. Some people have tried to explain it. Here's how it works with trading and stuff, but it always seems to be a minute by minute change. Like, I feel like this game is being, I'm paranoid, man. I'm paranoid. I feel like this game is being updated every 20 minutes and I don't know about it. And Greg's messing with me. But regardless, it's fun and it's beautiful and I don't care. It is very fun to work through these issues and try to discover myself as a creator, and having the luxury of a just absolutely beautiful live stream chat who will give feedback and look up things and allow us to help Greg to make a better game by reporting in these issues, or by, you know, people going on the Discord and saying, yeah, that is an issue, that's known, that type of thing. So thanks to all the people who do that. The only thing we want to do here, and the only thing I think we all want from this game, is just be a better game. And the only way we can do that is for Greg to take the ideas that he has, which I think every time this guy has 50 ideas, 40 of them get thrown out because they're just not really like going to fit in the game, and then he tries to take 10 ideas and they come down to 5 based on other things not being fun or tedious or confusing. So, you know, hats off to the guy for having to deal with us, but also hats off to us for trying to be as cordial and respectful to him as possible. I've only seen respect and kindness in my chat, my comment section for him, and people just saying, you know, hey, this game is really great, but here's some things I think that should be done to make it even better. And I couldn't agree more. I think Manor Lords has a lot of potential and needs to continue working to be a much better game. And there's nothing better than that, honestly. A game that's great that only gets better. Look at the story of No Man's Sky, and look at where it started, which was kind of, and look at where it is now. And hopefully Greg stays above the water. I think a lot of people are raising the water on him and want him to continue keep jumping towards the top, and you know, I hope he does so, but very safely and smoothly, and that his team doesn't lose their minds with all these crazy ideas and updates and things that players want, including the siege camp too. This is another new military building. The siege camp there, placing nearby friendly units allows them to utilize siege equipment, so that's going to be a thing sometime soon. I don't think it'll be in this beta or even in this update when it comes out, but it is cool to see, and I'd love to see people being able to build siege equipment, and also the AI to be able to build their own castles. I don't even think when you know, like 2 updates from now, I don't even think the AI is going to be able to build castles like this, but if they can deploy their retinue and buy mercenaries and fight, and if they can build a little manor, and if it's kind of a different manor each and every time, I'll be happy with that. So in addition to that, let me try to see if there's any other issues that I was experiencing. Yeah, I'm not even turning on ale, I'm just shipping it out because I'm not building tier 2 and tier 3 burgage plots unless I have to for the things like the tailor. And there does seem to be I was going to say new weapons, but gambesons, I can't recall if that's new or not. That would just be new armor. And yeah, it also seems like there's new types of flour, or maybe symbols for it, like rye flour. I don't remember seeing it like that. But and some of you may ask, and a good FAQ here is some people were asking about the communal oven. When it comes to making rye or wheat flour into bread, this can do it, and it can do it really fast, but the baker does it more efficiently, so it might be a good reason to choose to have a baker. And then your bakers can be assigned to either rye or wheat, and I think this can be as well, so they all have the option to do that. Here it just says wheat flour and wheat bread, but as you can see, they are taking rye and turning it into bread. I guess it doesn't show it here, but it absolutely happened. I built that before any bakeries. So anyway, that is pretty much all I wanted to share about Manor Lords for now. If you want to go check out all the new maps, if you want to report any other issues, I have other videos on that. I'd love to see if you were, you know, comment here if you were having any issues, comment on the other videos if you have any other questions. If you want to get into the beta, there's information on how to do that on other videos, and also everything that's new covered in much more detail. But honestly, my final thoughts are this: beautiful game that keeps getting more beautiful. Can't wait to see more maps. Game needs to have a map generator at some point. Can't wait for multiplayer. That needs to come to this game too. It's got so much potential to be that, and I can't wait to see a lot of these issues be resolved, and I can't wait to see what else other people find that we hadn't even discovered. And I hope it makes for a great big update for whatever this may be. Let's just call it version you know, 0.8 whenever that comes. So yeah, there's still a lot of things that I didn't cover. There's still a lot of other, you know, updates and little things that were tweaked and modified, but overall, I'm just happy that I played it. I'm overall that you guys love to watch Manor Lords. I'm loving the music. I want there to be more stuff, but a good step forward in the right direction, but we need to see how the next update goes, and I think that'll set a pace for how future updates in Manor Lords will go. If this team is able to go from this update to, well, this beta to the update, and then we see the next beta and update, we'll kind of see the pace increase or decrease, or we'll see the pace stay the same. But if it does, I hope to see way more polished updates and or releases and or betas, and also way more content. Other than that, that's it for me for Manor Lords. So I hope you all enjoyed the little tour around the castle. I hope you enjoyed the tour around the town, and I'll post some more pictures up on Instagram. So follow me, links down below in the description, and on Twitter too, links down below in the description, and maybe I'll drop a couple in our Discord. Thanks to everybody for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I hope to see you all back for Manor Lords in the future. That's it for me for now. I'm going to take a little break from Manor Lords until there's a massive big new update, which literally could be, I don't know, tomorrow, or it could be 6 months. Whatever happens, happens, and I'll be back to build another beautiful new castle in another new beautiful map for Manor Lords. Hope to see you all back soon. Take care, and goodbye. Have a good one.